Okay, so I've got the Mingzhou 5700 XT with the Mining BIOS on it. I'm going to open it up, change the thermal paste and have a look at the chipset number, the serial number, see if it's actually a 5700 XT or a 5700 with a 5700 XT BIOS, just to, keep my mind at rest. So I've got it opened up. Again, the board looks new thermal pads and looks like new paste, but I'm not sure if it's a cheap version because it's getting hot still, so I'm going to change that. So what we wanted to see is the number, and you can see here 21509172110. So yeah, it's indeed a 5700 XT. Because the 5700 is 220, I believe. I'll put the pictures up on the screen so you guys can see what's what, but this is a 5700 XT. Right, so in GPU-Z now, it's going to check out a few details before I test it. So as we can see, we've got 2560 shaders, we've got 8 gigs. And it's power color VBIOS, and as you can see, it's an AMD 5700 XT. So then what I'll do, I'll go over to the lookup to check what BIOS we've got. So this is the power color 5700 XT VBIOS, and it matches the GPU variant, and the TDP should be 225 watts. So then what I do is I launch Firmark. So this is the tool I use to look at stats, temperatures, wattage, things like that. And then what I see is it's stuck at 120 watts for some reason. So obviously we're not utilizing the whole power of the card. So I go into MSI and up the limit to the maximum, which is 50%. So now it goes up to 180 watts, but obviously it's still not enough. It should be 225 watts. So obviously there's something wrong. So then I start my investigation. So then I launch CPU-Z just to see more details, see what I can dig up, and I see the PPT is set to 120 watts. So obviously this is not good. Anyone new wouldn't know this unless they started digging around. They think something wrong with the GPU, or they wouldn't even know because they wouldn't be looking at these stats in details like I do. So then I look at the AMD BIOS, and you can see it's got a mining BIOS, a modified mining BIOS, so that's why it's been limited to 180 watts to make it a bit more efficient. The seller didn't tell me that this had a mining BIOS, and the reason why I pull this kind of stuff up is because, say for instance, someone new who doesn't know anything about this would buy this GPU and wouldn't know any difference unless they go into the data and look at all the little stats and things like that. So we can't get up to 225 watts unless we do a new flash, and obviously someone new wouldn't be able to do this, so they'll be stuck with a limited card unless they do a bit of research. But if they mess up, they brick the VBIOS. So I did tell the seller about this, and they were I thought they'd be helpful, but they were kind of ignoring the fact that it was a mining BIOS. They were just saying, yeah, it's performing insane, but it wouldn't. You're losing about 25% performance, because obviously you're losing about 45 watts of extra performance that we should be getting. So that did kind of disappoint me because seller wasn't being very, helpful. Just imagine you've got a warranty, and it after a month, AliExpress probably wouldn't jump in. So if you're relying on the warranty, 1 year, 2 years, whatever, and something, bigger, some issue happened, would you trust this seller to fix this issue? Probably not. So this is why I am kind of harsh with these kind of graphics cards, even though you can, change the VBIOS yourself. That isn't the point. They shouldn't, they either should have told you that it had a mining BIOS on there, or they, should be a little bit more helpful and, help the buyer change the VBIOS to the correct one, something like that. But it is what it is. So, and then I launch a game just to see how well it performs, and it's doing okay, but obviously it's still stuck at 180 watts. I can't get any more than that with this VBIOS without a flash. At this point I've already done the thermal paste change, so I was expecting it to perform a little bit better, but temperatures are a little bit higher than the first card that I had, it does creep up to just over 70. And yeah, even though I've got good airflow, and in the UK it's kind of cold at the moment, I'm testing at night, it's midnight now, so it is a little bit cold, probably about 6 degrees here in this room, so temps are a little bit high for what it should be. So I might need to unvolt this, obviously flash a new BIOS onto it, the correct one, to get more performance out of it. So I should be able to push it to 225 watts and get the clocks a lot more higher, but at the same time also undervolt it, so we're using less wattage at the same time, but temperature is a little bit lower. I mean, this is a little bit more advanced. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then don't worry about it too much. But yeah, so it's doing pretty well, getting about 125 FPS on Ultra. There's no kind of like major stutters or anything like that. But then again, this game isn't very demanding, so I just wanted to play a really small game to show you how well it performs, and it's doing okay with this Mining VBIOS. But to get the full potential, it needs a flash. So there you have it, guys. That's my kind of findings. If you guys have any questions, write them down below. I'd like to know your opinions, what you think, etc. Sometimes people do get stung by sellers where they get issues with their GPUs later on down the line and they're not helpful at all. So I just kind of want to find out who the trustworthy sellers are. Some sellers are apologetic, saying they didn't know, and some people are kind of like ignore you, or some people just keep on brushing it off, like MLSE. Even though I showed them the evidence, they kept on brushing it off. And same as this seller as well, they can like brush it off, saying it's performing well, even if it's a mining BIOS, but that's not the point. So there you guys have it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.